Did that get you up in a bed or what?
I haven't actually seen that intro. That was good.
Oh, how are you, brother? Good to see you.
I'm so good, man, and dude. I just want to say thank you 100% for bringing me onto the show and being the first one for 2021. It's super exciting, and also because I'm kind of new to this community as well. I'm overwhelmed with the love. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining, mate. I was keen as to get you on here. Once I started watching your videos and seeing that big grin on your face and how happy you are and how positive you are, I've loved your style. I've been loving your videos, and we're going to get into all that soon. Really excited for that. Really excited to have a chat. So thanks, everyone, for dropping in. If you're not familiar with Chris, Brad has dropped his link there.
Thank you.
So make sure you swing over and check out his content. It's really good. There is a bit of a mix of stuff. You are a marathon runner, aren't you?
Yes.
So there's a mix of marathon running and reselling, which is good. I've been enjoying it. So make sure you get over, give him some love, and we'll try and boost that up a bit because I've been doing a few challenges throughout. Well, the end of last year, we got Charlie and Frank boosted up with some subs, and if I can do something stupid or put myself out there to get sort of some fresh faces in or whoever, get them a few subs and get them some viewers on their channels, I'm more than happy to do it. So I am going to put a pitch tonight. What are you at? What sub are you at? Now, you're already high in subs because you have
we're about 636, I think it is, at the start of this. So we can monitor it and see. I'll keep it all honest. But yeah, 636, it's been very frustrating because I've been sitting on this for about nearly 5 years, just slowly going up, but it's hey, it's all part of it. It's all part of the fun and games.
It is, isn't it? Well, we've only got a few in at the minute, but if we get a few more in, we'll bring this back up. But make sure you get over and give Chris a sub because he's a marathon runner. So I have actually spoken to Chris about this prior to going into this. I'm actually going to now next week. I'm going to be putting out a what sold video, pre-recorded what sold. So it won't be that one, but the next what sold I do after that. If we can get my boy over here. What do you reckon? 650. We'll get you to 650. I will run 10 kilometers while filming a what sold video. I'll do the 10K run and I'll film it and I'll tell you what I sold that week. So
I got to ask, do you already run though?
No, I drink a lot of beer. No, okay. I did a 10K run maybe nearly 2 years ago, a charity run.
Okay. So it's not like you've never ran before.
No, and when I was a teenager, I used to do a bit of running. I was actually quite fit as a teenager, and then I made some bad choices, and I blew out around the waistline a bit, and it happens when you become older. But as a teenager, I could run. The last probably 10 years, not so much, but I have done it, and it's been a couple of years, but I haven't done it since. So yeah, I will do that, and I will be delayed because I've actually got my foot all bandaged up at the minute. I've done a little injury. I've split my heel open, so. Yeah, so give us a couple of weeks, but we'll do this. But only if we get to 650 subs on Chris's channel.
Already making excuses, I see. Like,
that's how it is. I'm making excuses already. But no, I will do that only if we get to 650 tonight. So make sure you get over and give him some love. And check out his videos because the reselling content's all on there now, and I'm really loving it. So we'll get to that in a minute. We'll have a quick say hello to the chat, and then we'll get stuck into it. Cara is in the house, first in. Good to see her. Jazz is in, and she's all ready to go. That just took a jump already. You're in there. Brad's in there. Margins, good to see you. Bindi and Chuck. G'day, guys. Stuart Henry. We've already got a question. So if you do have questions for Chris, make sure to drop them in the chat. And it's come from Brad. What is your best time for a marathon?
Best time was actually my second marathon. So I've only done two. My second was this in 2020, and I got 4 hours and 42 minutes. And surprisingly, it was in my backyard because we were in lockdown at the time.
And you've got a video on that too. So if anyone wants to see it, they can swing over and have a look. That is pretty epic. So just for anyone that's not aware, how far in distance is a marathon?
So marathon is 42.2 kilometers. So actually the time that I got is almost, lines up to it 4 hours and 42 minutes. But yeah, 42 kilometers. So it's, if you'd asked me 2-3 years ago about doing a marathon, I would have laughed at anyone that said that. But just progressively moving up into that, it's now something that's like, okay, well, I've done it once, I did it again, and I'll do more. I'll probably do more than 42 this year. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a long way. That's I thought 10 was a long way.
Well,
we go.
yeah. So to me, 10 used to feel like a marathon, right? So and that's why I want to, don't overdo it. Maybe just stick with a 5K if you haven't done running for a while.
No, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to do the 10. I'll do a little bit of training. I'll film that too, so everyone sees the behind the scenes to the run. Jazz has number 638, so we're climbing. Make sure you get over and sub.
Thank you.
10K, 640. Deb's in. Good to see you. You have to scull 2 beers before the 10K. I don't know about that. Mikhail's in the house. G'day, brother. And that's about 3 weeks quicker than what yeah, that's.
People can walk. I mean, you can walk, 40K easily in a day. So I think, I think you'll be able to do it in a day, even if you're saying that you're walking. So.
Yeah, I mean, when I do my 10K run, there is going to be a bit of walking involved. I don't think I can run the whole thing, but I'm going to try. So, right, enough about that. Let's get stuck into it. Let's hear a little bit about you, Chris. Just give us an intro for anyone that doesn't know you. Who are you and what do you do?
Yep. So this is a bit of a funny question because if you asked me last year, so I guess by nature, I work in IT industry. I'm a project manager. But as of the start of this year, 2021, I kind of took a bit of a gamble, a bit of a risk, and I've taken a chance on me, and I've actually stepped away out of my job. I've taken a leave of absence for a long period of time. I guess calling it a sabbatical or whatever you want to call it. But and basically just going to focus this year on working on some of my passion projects. And I do have a few different things. So obviously I've got the YouTube and the running content prominently. That's what I've always been doing on the channel. But like anyone that's got, that we do or show on a channel, we've always got things that we love to do outside of what we, share to everyone. And I've always been a bit of a hustler in terms of reselling stuff. I do have a side business as well called Furry or Further Your Lifestyle, and a few other little things as well. So I kind of wanted to just, after 2020 hit, I think we all took something from that. And for me, it was kind of like, I gotta take a chance on me and just really see what can happen, because if I don't, I'm just going to continue to grind away at the 9 to 5. And it's a great job. It was, really, really blessing of a job. But, I figured, well, I can take a leave of absence. So let's do that. So I guess now that you've asked me for this year about me, well, I like to run. I like to resell stuff and also do a lot of other things as well. So if anyone hasn't checked out my videos on my channel, I recently did one 2 weeks ago, which kind of goes into a bit more detail of those hobbies and passions. But I guess you could sum it up in running and reselling at this point. And I'm very passionate about other people and their passions as well. So, seeing you guys, a lot of the people that are in the chat at the moment, I'm just seeing it on my screen, is, I've seen all your channels as well and what you guys put together. And it always makes me excited to see people, sharing their talents or the different things that they like to do. And even you mate, you've got some of that side stuff that you had kind of alluded to at the end of last year as well, which, I'm very excited to see a bit more of that, hopefully for this year. I just love being able to see people, make a living or a lifestyle out of the things that they love to do. And that's really what I want to, kind of want to walk that talk as well and really dig into that this year.
Yeah, that's great. And I just love your attitude and the way you've said that. And you've brought that about what I've asked about you, and you've actually spoken about other people that you love seeing them succeed and do the things that they want to do, and all that sort of stuff. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I think we're a lot alike in that sense, and I'm the same. I'm very happy that you've done what you're doing. I'm really excited to follow your journey. I think it's going to be epic. You're going to do the things you love, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? We've only got one shot at this thing, and it opened my eyes to it. I was forced into it. I never would have taken the plunge without it.
Yeah.
And I was forced into it. Now I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. So, and look, I wish you all the best, mate. That's
Thanks, mate.
I think you're going to do really well, because more so because of the positivity in you, and just your attitude is absolutely amazing. So it looks like we are at 6:43. So if you
Wow.
haven't subbed and you want to see me hurl me guts up trying to be looking like
It's looking good at this rate.
and need to save up a month of what sells before you finish the 10K. There's a good chance. So you mentioned you've always been a bit of a hustler. Now, where did this all start? I understand you were sort of into this sort of stuff at a young age.
Yeah. Look, it probably comes from my dad's side. I mean, he's always been a bit of a buy and seller kind of guy. But back, I think the first time that I can really remember was probably back when I was around 12. And a lot of us in this chat group, from the 90s, and that's when all the fun stuff is, right? That we reflect back on. And for me, it was, I used to buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards off off my friends. So they'd have a deck of like 100 cards or something, and I'll give you $20 for it. And I don't even know why I thought that I could sell it and make money from it, but I must have just been, on my dad's eBay account or something, and just kind of looked up Yu-Gi-Oh cards and started to see that, individual cards were going at $50, $40 a pop, right? And I was like, okay, this is interesting. And back then everything was first edition, right? Because it was the start of it all. So I remember, getting at this exact moment, I paid $20 to my mate. I got his stack of cards, and I went through and, put them all up individually. And I remember getting like $160 for like 2-3 cards at a time, and watching that at auctions. I don't even know if they had buy it nows at that time, but watching that go from, 20, 30, 40, 50 in the final 30 seconds was just like, I was like, what is this madness? And, it kind of just became something that was ingrained in me, and I, just loved to do it. And I didn't go out looking for other things, but I've always kind of had that mindset, or entrepreneur kind of mindset of like, what can I do with this, or what opportunity can I make out of that, or how can I make a buck or two and whatnot. And it probably comes back to also seeing other people's potential. Like I look at other people and think, oh, you could do this, and you could really make something from it. So it's probably always been there. I to be honest, I don't know what necessarily inspired me, other than probably saying it was probably my dad, seeing him do it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's just cool. I love hearing the stories of people when they get into it at a young age like that. And as Frank was another one, when he was on here, he was saying when he was a kid, he sort of had the mentality of a hustler, and that's something that I didn't have when I was a child. I mean, I sort of didn't come into that until I was a bit older. So no, that's really cool. I love hearing that. So now that you're sort of where you are, what is kind of your current goal for the business short term?
Yeah. So I guess a bit of context is, so I guess, I've just spoken about being 12, and here I am, almost 30. And there's a big gap between that. So over the last 3-4 years, I've always just been kind of like selling on the side, nothing really, maybe just an hour or 2 hours a week, not even, probably just going to the op shops and hoarding stuff and not actually selling it. But, I think, as I started to work from home a bit more, I wanted to think, I had more time to think about it. And I realized, well, I've got all this stuff that I've been hoarding for a while. And, with me wanting to go chase all these different dreams and passions that I have, well, I've always been good at the reselling. I've always been able to go to the op shops and find the things that I like. I'm like, well, why couldn't I double this down and have this as a bit of a source of income while I'm, getting all my other stuff up and running? So basically I've kind of just gone full force from the start of this year. I, used the last couple of months from November to December to kind of just, I guess, get into a bit of a practice mode, going out to the shops. I mean, we only came out of lockdown, so I could only start doing it then anyway, being here in Melbourne. But, give those first couple of months a trial, see what I can do, and then really look at 2021 as my goals. And at the moment, I haven't actually set the full number that I want to try and get to. And I've actually got all my stuff in front of me looking down, but I kind of wanted to, on average, looking at this point, I wanted to make sure I'm listing at least 5 things a day, right? And going from that, I've already realized I need to be doing more, because if I've got all this stuff sitting around, but at the moment, if it's not listed and it's sitting around, I'm missing opportunity, right? So basically I just need to smash it out as much as possible. And I've got about 170 items listed now. And, this has only been 2 weeks into it, I guess you could say, full time. But, at the moment I am averaging about 8 listings a day. But ideally, I think it was Samson. He did a video talking about when you look at the amount of listings that you can do per day and your average sales, what's your potential that you can do from an entire year, right? And I worked it out. Well, currently for the last couple of months, my average sale has been around $34. So if I can get that listing up and happening, there's $61,000 sitting there with opportunity, assuming everything was crunched the right way, right? So I guess from this point, what I want to do is just have that consistency, get things moving and listed and drafted and cleaned. And I've got plenty of stuff sourced at this point. I think obviously I love the sourcing part way more than the listing. I think we can all probably agree with that, getting out and going for the hunt and just finding different stuff. But I do have some goals. I've got a goal at the end of January. I've got the goal at the end of March and June and December, but I'm kind of waiting to the end of January to kind of release that publicly. But, at the end of the day, this is my source of income. So the more I put into it is what I'm going to get out of it. So it's kind of like I'm just trying to really knuckle down for January and then kind of revisit and see, well, what's possible.
Yeah, that's cool. You mentioned being outsourcing. Now, what primarily do you like to source?
Yeah, so I'm still kind of finding the groove there. So, look, I mean, being a 90s kid as well, there's certain things which, I have that nostalgia or retro vibe, so I can see things and think, well, I like that, so I know other people are going to like it just naturally, right? Whether it's around some of the different toys, some of the video games and things like that. What I do like sourcing is video games. Like I just love that because I know it and I grew up with it. But they're the things that we rarely ever find in op shops, right? Like I'm talking like, your original, Nintendo 64 and things like that. But at the moment, what I have been enjoying doing is books and DVDs. I mean, I'm doing everything, 100% everything. Like if I get an op shop and I'm looking at literally everything. And that's also because I'm trying to learn and understand and grow and, broaden my horizons because, if I'm just going for DVDs, there might be nothing there. And then I'm, kind of losing when there's all this other opportunity. So I've started to dabble in a bit more of the clothing. I've currently got a big bin of shoes, which I've been sourcing, but I haven't necessarily, gone through and listed them yet just because I've been hoarding the stuff and getting it together. But at the moment, it's been DVDs and books, just because the DVDs have probably been the best bet, and some of the toys as well. But I mean, if it's kind of weird, if anyone's been looking at some of my content for the last week and a half, I have been putting up a lot of random stuff. Like I mean, even on my latest sourcing video, I think I've got like a cassette tape, one of the original cassette tapes back from 10 years ago. It's still sealed. I mean, I just know that it's worth it because it's something which people still use that stuff. So I think having a technology background as well, it helps me realize some of that possibility. Like I've got cameras, I've got old phones. I've really got a very broad. I don't have one thing that I'm looking for at this point. I think I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it's not bad to sort of dabble in everything, is it? It's you do eventually find new niches doing that, and I think it's important to explore all options, and then eventually you will come across something where you think this is turning over really well at a high rate. I'm getting a lot of money out of these, and then you start to focus on that more, and then that's where you start saving searches on Facebook, even eBay, and that's something that I've always pumped and preached that I do is buy off eBay to put back on eBay. Once you do find a sort of niche, so. And it's a matter of finding them. When you're out thrifting, you pick up different things. And I mentioned the other night we were talking about failing. Failing's a good thing. You might pick up. We all pick up stuff that is absolute crap, and you can't flip it. You lose money on it. It happens to all of us, and you learn from it. That's the most important thing. So you did speak about your technology background, and you worked in IT. But we did have a question over on Instagram from Kersko. what is the regular 9 to 5 that you're taking a break from?
Yep.
Are you able to explain that?
Yeah. So I'm a manager at a professional services company, and was working as a project manager. And it wasn't 9 to 5; it was probably more 9 to 9. Yeah. So it was very, very long hours. And don't get me wrong, totally love the job and very blessed by it. And obviously, I'm still there. I'm just on leave. I have the ability to take a large leave of absence, and but I've always had the mindset of like, well, there's areas in my, well, I guess, you have dreams and aspirations and goals that I've always wanted to kind of, see what's there. And I was thinking, well, I can work on it an hour here, hour there. And, when COVID hit, I kind of just looked at it and thinking, well, let's be honest, if I'm going to just put 2 hours towards these things every week, I'm going to be like 60 by the time that happens, right? So I'm just like, well, the way I looked at it was, I guess it really was that confronting of, well, everything's happening quite intensely for 2020. If I don't make a huge change, or if someone else doesn't, force me to make that change, nothing's going to change, right? So I just had to kind of like, well, take the bet on, well, what would happen if I spent the same amount of time, if I was working 50, 60 hours at, 9 to 5, safe and secure. What would happen if I spent that same amount of time on some of these different project areas and build it from bottom up and really get into the nitty gritty of it, and see what happens? And, I'm 2 weeks in and my headspace is great in terms of mental health. It's great. And I'm smiling, and I'm not saying it's easy either. I would have thought I would have, achieved a lot more by now. But at the same time, it gives me the reality check of like, well, people make things look easy when really they're not, right? There's a lot of hard work, but the thing that does, that has been very evident is that I'm happy. I don't feel stressed. I'm doing all these things. I'm working till 10 and 11 o'clock at night, but I'm doing on things that are, I'm motivated to do, that I'm excited to learn, and I'm building out passions and projects and stuff. So it really does change that headspace. And I kind of diverted from the question, but a bit more context.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's I'm the same, man. I'm more than happy to put the extra hours in for the less money if I'm doing something I love. And it's like you touched on nostalgic stuff before. You're researching your childhood at times, and that's something that every now and then people are just doing for nothing. We're getting money out of it, and then we go to bed, we put something up, and we get paid. So it's an absolute bonus, isn't it?
It is. I mean, last week I felt like I was like reliving my childhood, picking up like just toys from childhood, or I picked up a Blade Runner VHS, and it's just all the retro vibes, right? And even though like, I mean, I'm not going to go watch it, or anything, I'm just sourcing it, but I just feel like I'm just have that freedom to be able to go do that, look at it, explore it a bit. I'm like, oh, that brings back memories. And it's just, look, maybe in a month's time, I'm going to feel, maybe I won't feel the same, but that's all part of the journey, right? And I think it's at the moment, I'm just loving it.
Yeah, that's good. So since we're on Instagram, we had a couple of questions on Instagram. I'm guessing this bloke, don't tell him your secrets. I'm guessing he lives pretty close to you. Christian from Forest Vintage, best thrift shop in southeast suburbs.
Oh.
He did have a winky face after it too, so I think he's trying to get.
Well, that's interesting because I'm only really doing one area, so I can't even say the area at this point, because if I say the one area, I'll end up eating myself out of sourcing material. But look, at this point, I'm only going Tuesdays at the moment, just because of the timeline and because I have so much inventory just like stacked. If I keep sourcing too much, I'm creating the death pile. But look, to be honest, it's a swing and a miss. I mean, Southeast is very broad. I feel like sometimes I will give away a bit. So like if you go down more towards the Mornington Peninsula, which is even further than southeastern suburbs, and depends, southeastern suburbs I refer to as something else. But as you get out to a bit broader, you're going to find those more random, unique items because, it's a bit more of a country town, or not as many people there. But at the same time, if you get closer to somewhere like Dandenong or Cranbourne or around that area, it's the same thing. Like that is quite far out from the city. That's like 60 kilometers out. So you're going to get a unique amount. But then again, if you look at the social demographic of that area, it's not necessarily very, I guess I wouldn't say it's a very rich area, but then you're going to get more of that, potentially some of that older stuff as well. But most of the people that are going. I mean, a lot of the people are the type living in that area are the types of people that are wanting to buy from op shops as well. So sometimes it's a bit of a catch-22. But I have gone to some of the shops in Port Melbourne as well, which obviously is way away from southeast suburbs. And it's interesting, you find completely different stuff. And I think that's what's very interesting is how you can go, 20, 30 kilometers in an area, and it literally, the types of stuff you're finding is completely different. So best in southeast suburbs. I'm not going to I'm not going to say at this point, because the best is my only ones I'm going to.
And we had another one here from Flippity Flop. We did kind of touch on business goals. But what is 3 goals that you've set this year in reselling and outside of reselling? Now,
okay. Yeah, no, that's a good one. So for 3 goals set this year in reselling and outside. So look, I mean, for reselling, I want to be, ideally, it would be nice to be able to see numbers that are suggesting around half my previous wage by June. That's what I would like to see. Because, if I'm getting half of what I was previously doing, I think that's manageable. So if I can get that by June, that would be good. I mean, that's quite ambitious, but, at the same time, I've got nothing to lose to go for it. For YouTube, I guess one goal there is, I really want to be, it's something that really came evident to me last year is, trying not to just share what I guess is very narrow-minded, but, I want to be very transparent, authentic as possible. And I kind of started doing that a bit more on my YouTube last year with the content that I was creating. And not just around, running and stuff, but just with life in general. And I want to try and be a bit more authentic and transparent with that, which kind of led to me then, building out my business, my side business, which is called Further Your Lifestyle. And the goal there is to actually, I'm launching a podcast and I want to see that be successful. What success looks like at this point, I don't necessarily have a tangible number, but I think at this point, getting it launched would be key. You've asked a very good question, guys, because I'm actually, when I do my goal setting, I actually don't do it before a year starts. I actually use January to get routine systems and processes in place, crunch the numbers, and then usually around February is when I actually, release or kind of note down the goals and make them public. So I guess this is kind of a bit of a sneak peek to what that is, if that helps with the answer. And then also for running, I'm going to be doing my first ultra marathon. So yeah, hopefully that answers it.
So how far is an ultra marathon?
So, well, technically an ultra marathon is anything more than a marathon 42, but usually the level up would be 50K. Like usually most people say, well, if I'm doing an ultra, it's 50K. I mean, I could go do 43 and say I've done, an ultra, but yeah, 50K is what I'll be doing.
50K, that'll be 5 times what I'll be running if we get Chris to 650 subs tonight. I see Robbie Hollywood's in the chat. Good to see you, brother. And Daniel's in the chat too. Also good to see you. I'm sure Rob will make enough accounts to get you to that 650. See me,
please,
make an absolute mess of myself. But if you do go over and sub, make sure you watch the content too, because some really good stuff, reselling stuff on there now too, which has been awesome. So what made you, so you obviously already had the running content on that channel. What made you want to bring in the reselling content? So was it always going to be primarily a running channel?
Yeah, so no, that's a very good question. Yes, so I had never intended to go away from running. When I started the channel, it must have been about 4 or 5 years ago. The idea was, I had a GoPro, I was out running, and I'm like, well, other people might like to see this. And then you've got expectations versus reality, and the footage doesn't come out the same way. But I kind of built on that, and it's grown. And I've always enjoyed sharing my journey as a runner. And I'm not naturally some fit lean guy either. So there is a bit of a challenge there. So building that out, and I think what has been my most successful series to date is training for my second marathon, which was my backyard marathon. And because it was COVID, it brought a whole bunch of different stuff to it. And I really came out of my shell in that series. And I started to bring in, some of the books I'm listening to while running and talking about life. And I was kind of, using that as a medium to kind of talk to other people, even though people weren't talking back, but just being transparent, being honest, because we were all feeling a lot of things last year. And I started to really realize that, well, like, hang on, maybe I need to broaden my stuff on my channel and not really just be so focused on the running, and keeping in mind that, you know, here I am doing my business stuff as well for my side business, which is all about people embracing their passions and pursuing it to build a lifestyle. And I kind of realized, well, here I am saying that, but I'm kind of like just holding back or not really going all in. So I'm like, well, you know, if I'm going to go all in and build out that business properly, well, I should be kind of sharing some of that journey as well in my own life, right? And the reselling is a component of that. I mean, that's just obviously just a way that I'm wanting to build income, but I just love doing it. But my intent to bring onto the channel is more than just, you know, the reselling and just the running as well. I want to take it a bit further and share different hobbies, different stuff, and really, you know, broaden it and open it up to help people realize that, you know, I don't want it to just be a highlight reel, because, you know, I think we all get trapped in that. And it's, you know, it can be quite, you know, a bit frustrating when you're only seeing those highlight stuff. And I think if anyone's interested, you can go watch some of my running footage from the marathon series for the Backyard Marathon. And in that, you know, like, you know, I was venting, I was sharing, and there was moments where I was breaking down just because that was the reality of it, right? And I think, you know, some of that stuff is not necessarily shared. And even the stuff that you did, mate, around, you know, the mental health awareness and raising the stuff for Beyond Blue and all that jazz, right? You know, that's, you know, it's really good that you're doing that. And I don't want to just bring one area of my life. If I'm going to go all in with this stuff, I think it's best that I bring people on the journey, see if I can inspire other people, because I'm not expecting people to go out and run, but, you know, they might be inspired because I'm talking about different books, or I'm talking about attitude, or I'm talking about what motivates people. And, you know, it helps them to aspire further to do their own things, right? And I would love to be able to do that. And the best way to do that is to be an example. So what that looks like, I don't really know. At the moment, I'm bringing in the reselling, and I want to also document the journey of building out my business as well, because I feel like other people can learn, right? And if other people want to do it, well, then they can kind of just follow along.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, once again, I just love your outlook on all that. And I'm really looking forward to following your channel now that I've found you. I'm glad I did. And I just love following the journey, especially when someone new comes into the community and can kind of follow from, obviously not the start of your channel because you had your running stuff, but yeah, I can follow your reselling side of things. But now I'm taking a keen interest in your running side of things, because obviously I like my sport and fitness and all that sort of stuff. I'm very interested in it. I have been all my life too. So really looking forward to that. And one thing that I did want to ask is, I want to merge the two now. So we're going to merge running and reselling. And this is where we're going to pick your brain and interrogate you. This is where we get all the information out of you. So I want to know, from the running side of things, obviously you've done it for a long time, what can you bring from that into reselling? What knowledge from running can come into reselling? So whether that can be brands of shoes we all wear when we go for a run, we've got to wear a pair of shoes, just things like that, equipment, just fitness in general, just to resell.
Yeah. No, it's a good thing. I mean, look, the first thing is, yes, obviously going to be shoes, right? I mean, and knowing the different brands now, I'm the type of person, I'm a routine junkie. So if I like a brand or I like a pair of shoe, like that's the shoe I'll be wearing. Like, so I'm a New Balance fan. So I'm not necessarily a fan. The shoe just always works. So I've always just loved the brand. So that's just the way it is. And I've got like 5 of exactly the same pair of shoe, because if it works once, I know it's going to work again. So I buy it in bulk kind of thing. But, you know, so that has helped in notifying, you know, the types of shoes that I want. But then, you know, obviously I know broader amounts of shoes. So you've got like your Asics, obviously your Nike. Nike I'm not actually that good with, because Nike is so just saturated with so many different styles, and it's not running predominantly, right? It's everything basketball. It kind of gets a bit overwhelming. So, you know, here I am, I see Nike shoe and I'm like trying to look it up. I'm like, what version is this? It's Air Max. What? It's like, I have no idea. So the Nikes I actually have tended to stay away from. And I also feel like, because there is so many of them, they're not always you're not going to get that high margin unless you're getting them for $2, right? But then again, I've had friends find, you know, some Air Jordans that were $20 at the op shop, and they've been able to sell them off for $70. So once again, he knew what he was doing, but I don't know that basketball side. I'm predominantly the running. So for me, I'm looking out for your New Balance, your Asics, Salomon, and look, there's a few other little brands in there, Brooks as well, but Asics and New Balance have been the key ones for me. But looking away from the shoes, I think, some of the different clothings as well. And I think I've seen a few people do it, with some of the different Nike. Once again, you can get some of that dry fit, but I do find that goes pretty, it's only going around $15 on eBay. It's not really going that well, but some of the stuff that, and this is not me, this is all kudos to my girlfriend. She found it, was actually looking, and I'm giving away secrets here, but looking into like cycling or athlete clothing, right? So especially cycling jerseys. Now, funny enough, if you go watch my first What Sold for November, one of my first sales that I got jumping into this journey was one of those, a cycling jersey. Now, I didn't know what it was. My girlfriend was looking in Salvos, and she's like, oh, you got to get this. I'm like, what is it? And she's like, oh, it's a cycling jersey. It's a branded one. I didn't know the brand. And it's basically, well, if you don't know what a cycling jersey is, what you wear when you go for cycling or riding, if you're going for 20, 30, 40, 50 kilometers, it's got all the nice pockets in it. And these things retail anywhere between $150 and $250. And we got it for $4 from a Salvos. And I was like, nah. So we looked it up in like right on the spot in the comps, and we're like, get out of town. And so I ended up getting like $50 for it. And I think it was 44 after everything. But even for me, to take $4 and turn that in, I was just like, what the heck? So now whenever I'm out of the op shops, I'm always checking the ladies' sporting stuff, just because you can find some of those unique things. But also I have found, look, a lot of the male and female stuff gets confused as well. So it's always good to check both sides of that, because even the kids as well, because a lot of this, like the cycling stuff especially, it's very small because it's usually really thin and light, and it's stretchy as well. And sometimes, depending on the type of op shop you're at, they have no idea either. So they're kind of just putting it with size. Oh, yeah, it looks like a kid's or whatnot. And especially if it's a ladies or a woman's, they usually are a lot smaller than men's, of course. But look, to be honest, other than that, I haven't really, there isn't anything else specifically that I'm looking for. I think other than that, it's kind of like, being a runner, and, it's kind of, I guess it could be a bit cliche, but, being a marathon runner is playing that longer game, right? And that's why I always like to, kind of get into a routine, get into a process, and really adapt and apply to that. So like when I'm training for something, I'm going to be training for something over 18, 20 weeks, crunching the number, building a base, building a routine to make it happen that I can actually run that distance. And it's the same for this. That's, even though I'm, basically I've been starting since the 11th of Jan doing this full time. So we're 11 days in, right? And, I'm crunching numbers down to the dot, seeing what's shuffling, what's not working, what is working, and building that base, because I know that I'm going to look at this in a month's time, I'm going to look at it in 3 months' time, and I'm going to look at it in 6 months' time, and really see what's working and what's not, right? And it's the same with how I do my running. Is if you watch any of my, running recaps, every run that I do, I show the stats, I look at the stats and see what's working and what's not, right? And it helps me, it tells a story, right? And I think this isn't necessarily running, but I'm probably also my IT background around data as well. And I used to do the budgeting and project financials. So I'm a numbers guy. So I like to look at things, and it tells a story, and understand, well, what is it telling me? Is I spending too much time here? Or, if I'm putting this much effort in here, but I'm only getting that much money, well, clearly it's not worth my time. But I can't tell that yet. I think I won't be able to really tell that until I've given it a good, full time of the first 30 days to understand, well, what's working and what's not. And I think that's why I'm still trying to figure it all out, but knowing I'm playing the longer game.
Yeah, well, I think with your outlook at it already this early into it, I think you're going to be very successful, because you're doing all the right things early on, and you got your head screwed on.
But with that though, I've been watching all you guys for the since October, silently seeing what everyone's doing, probing, questioning, and I've sent you stuff on Instagram. I've sent a bunch of you guys in the chat, and it's a big thank you to all of you, because you guys have such a strong community, which now I'm part of. But seeing how everyone's doing things differently, and I think that's what's really cool is, it's not like we're all doing the same thing the same way. I mean, we all have, we have to source, we have to list, we have to clean, we have to, then, pack it and then mail it and all that jazz. And we're all at different parts of the timeline. But, what one person's doing is not always going to work for me as well. Or if there's a couple doing it, obviously you guys are going to be able to do double the amount that someone that's doing it, that's doing it by themselves. So some of those elements aren't going to play the same factor, for each other. So, but I love seeing how people do their processes, even if I'm not necessarily asking, I'm watching. But I guess, having this conversation as well, in this series around interrogation and trying to understand and ask those questions, it's really good because you're learning new tips, you're learning different ways of looking at things. And, look, a bit of a story was, I got into day 2 or 3 of doing this, and I realized that I'm like, I looked at all my dev pile that I've been hoarding for like a year and a half, just because I've been sourcing, going out and having fun. And I was overwhelmed by it. I'm like, if I don't like get this into a system now, and I'm going to go full force into this, I'm going to be like, I'm not going to have any progress. It's just going to keep building. Nothing's going to change. So I'm like, I had to clear out, pull everything out of room. I then went down to Bunnings, purchased, I've seen a few pictures of other people's memes of this as well. I know, purchased 20 big bins, 50-liter bins, brought them home, started labeling, pulling everything out, sorting everything. And then I've put in a bit of a system around, as soon as I get something, I have to bin it, so it's ready to be drafted, or at least have to list out, the categories, or list out the cost of goods and all that jazz. And I'm really loving being able to explore what's working, what's not, and then test it. And I guess in a month's time, I'll really see what's working and what's not. But, hearing and seeing what you guys have all been doing as well, I'm like, oh, I know that's what he was doing, or they were doing this. And it's like, oh, how are you doing that? And, but learning so much at the same time. So it's exciting. It really is.
Yeah. The community is amazing. I've absolutely loved being a part of it and getting people on to chat with and everything. But it's kind of like if you go into a new job. So you start a new job, you're in a new workplace, and you're kind of rotating shifts. Everyone that you work with is going to do the same job, but they're going to do it a lot different. And they're all going to teach you their ways of doing it. Now, with the people, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or just someone you're chatting to, they might have a method that they work with and it works really well for them, but it might not work as well for you. But for me, watching all these other people and just networking with all these people, communicating with them, I've taken parts from the way I run my business is built up from so many people that I've watched and spoken to, and I've taken parts from all of them to suit me and the way I do it. And I think that's the best way. No one's sort of out there telling you what to do, but if you can learn a little bit from everyone, then you're going to be doing all right, because there's a lot of people in this community that are doing really well and they're really successful from doing this. So it's an amazing thing to be a part of. So I better jump over to the chat because we've neglected them for a little bit. Cara did have a question. She sent it nearly half an hour ago, so we haven't been to the chat for a while. But what's your best sale so far, Chris?
Best sale. So I think that I've publicly shared. It probably actually is still some men's cologne that I did, which was actually a kind of luck of the draw of being a newbie. I actually got it given to me, like someone was clearing out their apartment and they gave me a bunch of stuff, and it was sitting in, just in, a bucket, like a box for like months. And when I started doing this in November, I can't even remember what the brand is. I can't say it off the top of my head, but anyway, it was going, people were selling it for around $300. And I ended up getting $200 for it. I was like, I just want to get rid of it because I don't want to try and be greedy. Let's, being first time, let's just sell it. And it ended up going to another shop, and I think they're reselling it because it was still sealed. So I ended up getting $200 for that. But, wiping that off the bat because I didn't go out and source that myself. I think the best one for me has been, I've already shared it on my Instagram. It'll be my next what sold. So this is basically killing the market. But I think a lot of people have started to hear this one as well. So a bunch of DVDs called Zoids. Now, I know this because I grew up with it, right? And I've always loved it. I collect the figurines, and I've got all the DVDs. But these things, these DVDs, people are selling at $90 a pop. So, it's animated series back from the 90s. It's no longer released. I mean, there's some newer stuff now, but it's nowhere near as good. And, people are popping these off at $90 a pop. And I actually sourced a total of, it would have been 16, about 22. I paid $220 for, knowing the value of them. And I was able to sell 9 of those for $220. And even that, I think I probably could have got more, but at the same time, just realizing I'm trying to move and not kill myself as well, because there's people that have got things listed on there like 6 for 300 or 6 for 400, just because then you can't get them anymore. The only way to get them is from this kind of market. So even trying to source them is very, very hard. It's kind of ironic. If someone else is in this chat that has been dealing with this, please let me know, because there's been this guy that I've been harassing on Gumtree trying to buy his Zoid DVDs. And he stopped replying to me because I didn't lowball him. He says make an offer, so I said I'll give you $50 for the lot. He didn't respond. And anyway, I looked through his other stuff and realized that he's also a reseller, and he's actually got them on eBay for $300. So if this is you, I do apologize. But yeah, so that's been my best one so far. And also, I guess in terms of margin though, has been AC/DC CDs. I got these just a month ago. Walked into my op shop. There was 10 sitting there, $2 a pop. Ended up selling one for 119, another one for 80, 3 for 30, and I've still got another 5 there, I think it is, sitting there, and they're all between 30 and 40, and they're still listed. So that one is going to come out with the highest margin so far. So yeah, a few different things there.
Yeah, love that. AC/DC always goes well. Can't complain with that. Rack Raiders are in. Good to see you guys. Opta Thrift. What's happening? We got Drew and Sarah. He was balls deep in a bowl of cereal. Tea time, mate. You got your day all back to front. You're supposed to be eating dinner.
Yeah, that's
What's going on there? Once you make those goals public, it is locked in. Absolutely.
That's it.
It is. Fun or Thrift is in. Good to see you guys.
Yo.
Sub to Chris's channel. Have we got a sub count? You got it on there. What are we at?
I'm sitting at 6. Well, mine is saying 646, but someone else is saying, I think, 2 Aussie Thrifters. You guys are saying I'm at 647. I don't know if my thing's just delayed or you guys are seeing something, but I like what I'm saying. 647 sounds nice.
Yeah, a couple
For
more.
you and me both, man.
We'll get you there, and make sure you watch. But once he gets to that magic number 650, I will film. As I said, I'm going to drop a What Sold video next week, and it won't be that one because I'm currently injured. I've split my foot open. But it'll be the next What Sold. I will run a 10K. I'll go for a 10K run and film my What Sold. I'll talk all about it while I'm trying to do this run. So it might be a disgusting video, but it'll be worth it for your everyone else's expense.
Thanks, man.
Sam's in. Good to see you. I'm just trying to catch up with this chat. I am way behind. If there are any questions, definitely drop them in. We're at the 48-minute mark already, so
Good grief.
if you got any questions, drop them in. Chris is a super open book and 100% worth a sub. Got plenty to offer, and fucking good on camera.
Guys. Hey, I mean, come on. You guys have just launched that podcast, and I'm watching the podcast, and you guys are just flying through it in terms of you just make it look so easy, so natural, so fun, and just I'm loving it. So don't sell yourself short.
Yeah, Drew and Sarah are great. I've been following them before I was doing YouTube, and they're amazing people, good resellers. And the podcast started off.
It's just so clean. It's so crisp and clean.
That's good. They're very talented at even just that editing side of things. I love it. So if anyone hasn't gone over and seen Drew and Sarah, their podcast, get over and have a look. You can watch it on YouTube or listen to it on all the podcasting platforms. Tamara's in. G'day, Tamara. It's all right. It's all right. We can watch it back too if you come in late. Joe's saying loves selling a cycling jersey. Picked up some weird Gore bikewear thing last week that is inflatable.
Wow.
Gore bikewear inflatable. I don't even know what that is.
Nope. Like, is it like motorbike or is it like cycling? Like, yeah, that's inflatable.
Like airbags, have it deployed.
Huh. I have no idea.
I love a bit of AC/DC. Absolutely. That sale was insane. The Relove Closet is in. Listen in the background while listing. Happy listing. Hoping you're smashing them out. Toby's in the house. Better late than never. Absolutely. And Here we go. We've got a question here from Margins. At this stage, do you plan to go back to work?
Well, considering I'm only 11 days in, very hard to tell at this point. So look, 100% honesty. So I've got myself as a 6-month checkpoint. So that's kind of what I've said to work at this point. I'm on a leave of absence for 6 months. I'll check in, see what things are happening. The way I look at it as it can only get better for me with me putting my time to this. I mean, I've been successful with my YouTube channel. I've been able to, work on my side business while working a full 9 to 5 anyway. It's more around, well, I don't want to wait another 5-6 years for that to become at a point. I wanted to kind of just double down. So I'm really going to make sure these 6 months aren't just me just sitting around on leave, twiddling thumbs and playing video games. But, I'm saying to everyone that I'm working, right? So if someone asks, what are you doing today? I'm like, oh, I'm working, I'm doing this, I'm working on this. So I'll give it 6 months. I'll check and see where I'm at. Ideally, I would continue on. I do have the ability to be able to take up to 2 years leave of absence from the company. But, at the same time, I have to, I need to make sure I have, money coming in, because I can't obviously go get another job, right? Like that would be a conflict of interest and things like that. So I have to be mindful of that. Working with myself is a little different. So yeah, just got to be careful of that. But yeah, 6 months, I'm locked in for that 100% at this point. See where it's at, and that's why I've kind of got a 1 month goal. I've got a 1 month projection, a 3 month projection, 6 month projection, and then end of year kind of thing. And if I can start to get around those numbers based on what I'm getting at the end of January, well then, then I think it would make sense to continue on before I kind of make a big decision or not. So it's, look, because I don't want to just, I looked at the way of, I've got the opportunity to be able to take leave, and I can afford to take leave at this point. So, I may take that opportunity, milk it as much as possible, rather than just kind of, just leave and do something stupid like that with, look, it would still be, I'll be doing exactly the same thing, but it means I have a fallback option while I've got that opportunity. And then, it'll come a point in time where it will just make sense that I can, move away, or maybe this doesn't pan out, or look, I've been very frank, I might get 2 months into this and realize, nah, stuff this. But, and that's why I want to document the journey as well, right? Because I don't know. I honestly don't know what will happen, how it will happen, if things will go as good as I want, or maybe I'll realize that, I don't need 6 months, I need 8 months, right? And, I can start to really realize that as I progress through. So yeah, I guess the short answer is at this point, I'm giving it all 6 months and then I'll checkpoint.
Yeah. Cool. So we've touched on that happiness is key, and you're a super positive dude. As I said, I love watching your channel just because you've always got the big grin on your face. You're always up and about. You love what you're doing. And I just love seeing people with as much energy as you, and just so positive. Now, have you got any sort of tips for translating kind of your personal positivity into your business?
Yep. Yeah. No. So this, look, so because I do have my side business as well, and naturally I am a people person, even though it's kind of ironic. Being in project management, I have to work with a lot of people, all types of characters. And, but at the same time, I think, what I would like to be able to do is, and if anyone's been checking out my Instagram content or even seen some of the videos already, I've kind of called what I'm doing this as sourcing fodder. And my eBay store is called Lifestyle Fodder. So really building out a brand and trying to, go all in, and not just me as another random guy trying to resell, but actually put some love and attention around it as well. And, the idea around lifestyle fodder is, feeding, feeding people's lifestyles, right? Because fodder is food. And to bring that fun element to it, but also I would like to, I envision getting to the point of, being able to have that, I guess, that personal touch, right? So I picked up some Harry Potter books the other day, some first editions, and I've listed them, but I've already packed them ready to go, nice and neat. When I say nice and neat, they're boxed, they've got all the wrapping paper, they're nice, then got cardboard folded in, and then I've put a nice little note saying thank you and stuff, right? Now, that I'm just testing those things out to seeing what the response will be like and things like that. But, really going into it, not just like me trying to get money, but also thinking, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right, do it from bottom up, right? And thinking, well, if I was buying a first edition Harry Potter book, when it's going to get sent, I'm going to expect that it's going to be this folded that way, protected and all that jazz. And, a nice little note saying, hey, thanks for shopping with us would also be quite, good. And that's the type of person I am. If someone goes out of the way to give a little thumbs up, for me, I'm like, it makes my day. So that kind of positivity, is what I would like to think, well, if someone else can feel that, they're more likely to come back, or they're more likely to stick around or save the store, or, reach out. I've put the message there if there's certain things that people are looking for. Now, I'm not expecting people to, look at that right now, because no one knows me for that, right? Because I'm just kind of coming out of nowhere. But as I start to sell more, and maybe as I niche down or focus on some different areas, I can start to build that, I guess, branding around that. At the moment, I'm just doing everything and anything because I'm trying to build a consistency and get some income coming in. But, I'm definitely realizing there's areas that I enjoy doing more. And then if I can enjoy doing them more and I can get more money for it and I can put some love in it, that's where bringing those three elements together, that's where I guess the mullah will be, because I'm going to be having so much more fun. I'm going to be saving so much more time and making so much more money, and the customer's going to be happy. So that's the way I'm looking at it in the broader perspective. Although it's easier said than done.
So they said it was a cycling vest that you can blow up for heat control.
Okay, I've never heard of that. That's weird.
Cool, should be sleeping, but here I am. Sleepers for the week. Yeah, I don't know how some of the guys over there, they're always awake. So anyway, we're nearly done. We've only got a couple of minutes left. You have mentioned another side business a couple of times. Now, do you want to give that a little bit of a plug?
Yeah, so Furry Your Lifestyle, basically it's a lifestyle brand, passionate about people's passions, right? Promoting passion. And I guess the spieler on that one is you kind of met, and you said that, you find me very positive and whatnot. And for me, when I kind of left high school and going for uni, I always wanted to build something and have it on the side. And I've always been a bit of a motivator. I blogged for 3 years straight, actually, every single day, just doing motivational posts. And coming out of that, I realized, well, I want to be able to continue to encourage and inspire or motivate wherever I can. And I thought, well, I should do this as a business somehow, and I have no idea. And, being seeing everything, this is like 5 years ago, seeing everything that's on all the social media these days is, you can quickly start up a quick e-commerce store just like this and that these days. And I'm like, oh, I'll just do it. So I'll start selling t-shirts, print on demand. And so I kind of started the business, selling clothing. And I quickly realized, well, that's not going to work, because why would anyone buy my clothing? No one knows me, the brand, anything. And I started to move away from that slightly. It's still selling clothing, but I started to focus more on the people, their lifestyles, and telling the story about what they're doing, and then leveraging them to help sell the clothing. I guess some people would think of it as influence marketing, but at the same time, and that's why I'm, stepped away from the job so I can focus on a podcast, because I want to move away from the clothing completely and just focus 100% on the people and conversations, right? Because, chatting to different people that, just like, look, Mum, I'm hustling podcast, right? That in itself is just cool, and it's following a lifestyle. It's following, we're doing this on the side, but also we like to do these other things, right? So, having that conversation with, just learning and hearing that, right, gets me motivated and inspired. So I feel like, if I'm having those conversations with other people that have weird and wonderful talents, hobbies, passions, and goals and aspirations, other people are going to be interested by that too, right? And if you think, at some of the top podcasts or the top content creators, a lot of them are just sharing that same kind of vibe. They're interviewing people, exactly what we're doing right now, right? You're interviewing me, we're having a conversation, we're learning. It's totally about reselling and a few other things, but building out a podcast around lifestyle and just people's weird and wonderful things. What are their processes? What are their things that they do? Or how can they encourage other people to do it? But moving away from the clothing and focusing on that. If you want to check it out, it's Furry, Furrii. Check it out on Instagram. I had to put it on pause for the last 4 or 5 months, just because I wasn't able to actually sell any clothing, because everything coming internationally was just getting ridiculous. It was getting very hard to, lock down things, and people were in lockdown, so we weren't able to go out and do, like photography and stuff like that. So we kind of just put it on pause, knowing, that, well, come 2021, I'm going to have some time. So I may as just start and jump in and do it then. So I actually just dropped a couple of posts last night on that, to give everyone a bit of a sneak peek that something's changing, something's coming. And the other thing that, and I'm going full transparent here for everyone, is, I've been hiding behind the brand, as no one knows who I am behind the brand. To them, it's just Furry as the brand. And what I wanted to do was, strip off that Band-Aid and just kind of come out on front and say, hey, introduce myself, who I am. This is what I envision for Furry. And, that might kind of hurt me a little bit, just because people are like, oh, well, we didn't know this or whatever, or we thought you were this or whatever. But, I kind of want to clean slate and build out that podcast as that focus, because otherwise it's not going to be genuine and it's not going to be real. I feel like it will create a bit more work for myself, but in the longer run, it's going to make it a better journey. And, people will want to be there for the right reasons, and not just because they're seeing a highlight reel or pretty posts all the time. So yeah.
That's good. What I'll do is I'll share the link, your other Instagram page, on my Instagram once we finish up here.
Okay.
So anyone that follows me on Instagram can go and have a look if they're interested.
Thanks.
So, Chris, look, we've clocked an hour, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. I appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me. We could go on for another 2-3 hours, I think, but unfortunately, some of us have things to list or pack or whatever we're going to do, or we're going to get a few hours sleep. So
that's it.
Thanks very much for coming on. Hopefully we can get you back on again at some point, because I've really enjoyed this. So anyone, if you're not subbed to Chris's channel, go over and have a look. Let's get him to that 650 mark. And
I think I'm sitting at 651.
Oh, we're over. So
I don't know if you can see that.
Beautiful. We've got him there. So very happy. But don't just sub. Make sure you go over and watch his videos too, because he's doing a really good job with the videos. We all love reselling stuff, so I know everyone will check out the reselling. But even if you're not a runner yourself, I'm not a runner. Well, I'm going to be a runner in a few weeks, but I enjoy that stuff too. So now I'm going to do a what's sold. I will do a 10K run and film it and try and do my what's sold while I do the run, because we've got Chris to 650 subs. So
thank you.
That's going to be interesting. It won't be next week, but it'll be in a few weeks' time after that. So thanks very much, Chris. Thanks everyone for coming in. Make sure you hit that thumb. Speaking of podcasts, the podcast will be back next week. This chat will be up on the podcast.
Oh, sweet.
We're going to kick that back into gear this year. We sort of had a bit of a trial run of that last year, and I think we're going to keep it rolling over. So if you do want to listen to this rather than watch, that'll be on there, or if you want to listen again. So thanks very much, mate. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you later.
Thanks, folks.